Kamala Harris has looked in the camera and said, I'm going to be president for all of you. I love this country.
Your speech a lot. You were talking about what you didn't like about Trump. What do you like about Kamala Harris? Is there a policy of hers that excites you as a voter?
She will stand with Ukraine and Zelensky and not Putin. Trump would stand with Putin. I'm hugely pro-Israel. I'm comfortable. I think she'll be very, very pro-Israel. And I think she'll govern domestically from the center and try to get kind of some reasonable economic things done.
You think she'll be very pro-Israel. However, are you concerned that the Democrat Party as a whole wouldn't be very pro-Israel and hamper her ability to support Israel if elected?
It's a constant concern of mine. It would have been a concern no matter who the Democratic nominee is. But to get elected, she needs us and she needs her progressive flank. So if she goes to D.C. as president and she turns to the left on Israel, watch out. I mean, I'm not saying watch out Kamala. I'm just saying her support among us will instantly disappear.
What would you say? There were two assassination attempts on our former president, Donald Trump. During the debate, he actually blamed it on rhetoric coming from Democrats. He said this to Kamala. You guys were talking about how he's a threat to democracy. What's your reaction to the assassination attempt and him blaming it on the rhetoric surrounding him?
Well, and then to your point, when he said that, he said Democrats are a danger to democracy and they're the enemy from within. So you talk about dangerous rhetoric. Look, political violence is never acceptable and we always condemn it. But you can say Trump's a threat to democracy and that's not inciting anything. Whereas when you're Trump and you say Haitian migrants are eating cats and dogs, that's inciting, that's specifically...
If someone's a threat to democracy, I mean, that's a huge threat to our country. I mean, to a crazy person, who knows what that could do?
And so how do we deal with that? Ballots, not bullets. I mean, every time I say, and I've been on TV where they've said, Joe, you got to calm that down. He's a threat to democracy. This is how we deal with that threat. We defeat that threat at the ballot box.
Some of his detractors call him a fascist, a white supremacist, is going as far as to call him a Nazi. Do you agree with any of that stuff?
I think he's too dumb to be a lot of those things. I think he's an authoritarian wannabe. I think if he gets elected, he's going to do what he can to become a dictator. Is that a fascist? I don't know. I know he wants to imprison his political enemies. I know he wants to shut down left of center media outlets. I know he wants to use government to go after his enemies. I'm not smart enough to know if that's a fascist.
This is my last question would be, how would you respond to Republicans who accuse the Democrats of trying to use the political system and jail Donald Trump now with multiple different indictments coming out against him?
It's always a fascinating issue. So does that mean then Trump can break the law and you can't go after him because you don't want to impact an election? Look, Trump potentially committed crimes. If he's not above the law, then you pursue him, whether he's a candidate for president or he's a former congressman.
Do you think they would have gone after him with these indictments if he wasn't running for re-election?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, God, yeah. The Georgia indictment, he tried to overthrow Georgia's election. The Jan 6 indictments, he tried to overthrow our elections. I mean, the classified doc thing, he obstructed the search for those documents. The New York City, the one he's been convicted on, I don't know that they would have gone after him on that stuff, his personal business stuff, if he weren't candidate. But the other ones were attacks against our democracy, potential crimes. Absolutely, they would have gone after him.
Mr. Walsh, thank you. Is there anything Donald Trump could do or say at this point to earn over your support?
Absolutely. Goodbye. See you later. I'm going down to Mar-a-Lago and playing more golf.
Who's the last Republican you supported?
Well, right now it would be Adam Kinzinger, Romney, Liz Cheney. God bless her, man. You know, I mean, there's a lot of Republicans now I have such incredible respect for because they're not, because they have balls.
Who's the last Republican you voted for? Was it Romney or?
I never have.
You've never voted for a Republican?
I might now if the world turns and changes.
Yeah.
But
so you're not actually a Republican for Harris if you've never voted for a Republican?
I'm actually not, no.
It's just because that was part of what the event pitch was. It seems like they're trying to do outreach.
They're inviting everybody, though.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people now are more independent. But I think people are here to do the right thing. It doesn't matter what party you're in. But the fact that Republicans are against Trump, that says volumes. if you don't mind, I'm going to move on.
Absolutely. Well, sir, thank you so much for your time. What turns you off from Donald Trump to turn you into a Republican for Harris?
I was a cop 31 years. He's a criminal. That's what turns me off. January 6th, when he had an obligation where he could have stepped up, the buck stops here, like Truman said, that's when he should have done something, and he did nothing. So it was pretty horrendous what happened that day. And so forgetting policy or anything else, he's a criminal. He's been convicted of crimes, not by a party, but by a jury. And I don't want to see the guy go to jail. I just want to see him out of the political arena. That's all.
I want to ask, so as a former cop, there was a defund the police movement that many Democrats were supportive of. As a cop, you could see yourself supporting Democrats despite some of them supporting defund the police a few years ago.
Well, I think the wordage was poor. I don't really think that there's any Democrats that truly wanted to defund the police. In all the years I was a cop, it didn't matter if it was a Republican or a Democrat. We had a job to do, and we didn't arrest people based on political party. And I don't think anybody wants to defund the police. I think the way the money is arbitrated, the way things are presented is what confuses the whole thing.
I know many Republicans were also concerned about crime and the major criticisms around bail reform that many Democrats were pushing in different cities. As a cop, you're not reluctant to support Democrats who push this stuff?
Well, I think it's up to the courts. I don't know enough to really explain or understand, how that whole deal goes. I really don't. I'm certainly not for criminals walking the street that are violent, but I think if our jails are overcrowded, it's got to be addressed.
Things that I might disagree with the Harris-Walz campaign on, I firmly am in their camp because I believe that they will protect our democracy.
Absolutely. You called yourself a lifelong Republican. Who's the last Republican you supported?
For president, Mitt Romney.
Do you think Kamala Harris and Tim Walz more closely align with your conservative values than Donald Trump and J.D. Vance do?
I would say that the way that the Republican Party is now under Trump and Vance, I would have to say that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz do more closely represent that. Now, that said, there's a lot of things that I still disagree with them. There's a lot of positions that I would not consider myself to be supportive of. But if we are just looking one-to-one, I would say, yeah, they do.
I want to ask on some of those issues because she's flopped on many. Is there a particular political issue that she speaks to that you're especially passionate about?
Well, I really like the way that she talks about the country. I think that she has a truly deeper understanding and respect for our democracy, our country, our individuals, quite frankly, overall. Just what she stands for as her vision for the future of America is more closely aligned where I think I am and where a lot of the country is.
Many Republicans have been calling her very extreme. In the past, she said she supports Medicare for all. She even went as far to say that she supports government-funded sex change operations for immigrants. Do you support that kind of stuff?
No, I don't. What I would say is, she says that she has changed her positions, and while we don't necessarily know what that is, I am more inclined at this point to support the devil you don't know than the one that you do. We know what Donald Trump stands for. We had 4 years of him, and we know that his vision for America is not something that someone who has a broad view of this country would support. So I trust her to say that she's changed those positions, and I look forward to seeing what she's going to do.
I mean, in that vein, though, how could you trust if she's, done a 180 on not only that position, but immigration, on guns, on Medicare for all? How do you know what you're getting with Kamala Harris?
Quite frankly, I don't. But again, I do know what I'm getting with Donald Trump. And I think that even though there are positions of hers that I am skeptical on, there are positions of hers that I don't agree with, I do trust that she will, for example, accept the results of her election. I do trust that she's going to respect the Constitution. She's never called to suspend the Constitution of the United States, which Donald Trump, of course, we know has. So I'm much more comfortable saying I may disagree with you, even on every issue, but on the fact that you will support our country and our democracy and our Constitution, 100%, I can get behind that.
My last question, is there anything Donald Trump could do or say to win over your support?
No, that's an excellent question, and the answer is no. I think that had the events surrounding January 6th, the events surrounding him trying to overturn the results of the election, had that not happened, I think that there would have been a better chance for myself and people like me to support him. But in light of that, there's nothing he could say or do that would convince me to vote for him.
I'm here with former Republican Representative Comstock here in Pennsylvania at the Republicans for Harris rally. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you decided to come out?
Sure. I'm from Virginia, in a district that's a suburban Republican district. I do have family in Pennsylvania, actually in Penn Valley, and I came out because, I think Donald Trump is just dangerous to our families, our national security, certainly to women. And I saw him up close and personal when I served in Congress, and how he was just a very unreliable and dangerous person, whether it was people like Dan Coates and John Kelly and John Bolton, knowing that he was very dangerous on national security, or on things like immigration, where he just wasn't able to put a deal together. And you look at Vice President Harris has said she will sign that bill, and I believe she will be able to sign that immigration bill, get that finally done, which Republicans like myself and Democrats have wanted to get that done. And I think it's important that women have somebody who's about protecting women and children, not somebody who has been found not only to be a felon, but somebody who's guilty of adjudicated guilty of sexual assault.
I want to ask you about what Donald Trump's been claiming is one of his biggest accomplishments was appointing the 3 Supreme Court justices and the eventual overturning of Roe v. Wade. Democrats have been harping on this a lot this election cycle. Were you happy or sad to see the overturning of Roe v. Wade?
Well, I think that is not because of misogynists like Trump and people like you just heard Bernie Moreno in Ohio last night really demean women and say how women are concerned about it. I think it's been very much thoughtlessly handled since it went back to the states. There hasn't been a open discussion about it so that women have been involved in that discussion. Look what happened in Georgia, where women are dying instead of being able to get treatment when they have miscarriages. So because Republican men like Donald Trump, who don't understand the first thing about pregnancy, who don't understand what's happening to women, I think that has been it's been a loser for Republicans.
Do you think it was a mistake to have Roe v. Wade overturned?
Well, the court made the decision they were going to make, but I think politically, it is that I think all of these referendums are going to be to the benefit of Democrats, and I think they'll probably all pass as they've had to date. And in all of the states where they've passed, it's hurt Republicans.
Absolutely. Congresswoman, thank you so much for your time.